As with any good program, we begin first with commercials. Just wanted to say that every year this parish has hosted the olive wood carvers from Bethlehem, and they are here again this year. They're here after all the masses, and they will be in the hall. So please, if you have a chance to go over and take a look around and maybe pick up a gift for someone, it's in support of the Christians that are still living in the Holy Land. And that number continues to shrink each year. And the few that are left, less than 15% of the population, in fact, I've heard it's much smaller than that now, they really have a very hard time, and they support themselves by doing these olive wood carvings. You know, I've never been very good at math. It's always been the most difficult thing that I've had to deal with, especially when you get into the higher maths. You physicists, I don't know how you do it. Thank God for calculators, I guess, but it's never been very good for me. But I have managed a few things. I'm pretty good at division, simple long division, addition, and subtraction. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do a little bit of math tonight. Division. I'm dividing the homily into two parts. And the first part of the homily will have two parts. So part 1, 2 parts. Part 2, 1 part. Enough division. I don't go any further than that. First part of the homily, first part. Addition. I don't know how good you are at addition, but I'm a whole lot better at subtraction, especially in my checkbook. But, you know, in the addition part, I've received a good number of requests over the months that I've been here. I've been here well into my second year now for ongoing adult education. And so we are going to begin a regular program, twice each month on different topics. And we're calling the program Going Deeper. And I'm asking you, please, to read the bulletin, because it will begin a little bit later on this month. We will have the beginning of this program. This coming Thursday marks the beginning marks the anniversary of the 50th year since the opening of the Second Vatican Council. And our bishop has asked that we ring the bells in every church so long as we have bells to ring. And we have a bell, so we'll ring it. And so Thursday, after the 9 a.m. Mass, and again at noon, we'll ring the bell in the parish as a commemoration of this opening of the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Second Vatican Council. So that's our first set of additions. Second set of addition. I've been noticing and been getting a lot of requests for the sacrament of the anointing of the sick. And so what I would like to do is on the third Saturday of each month, after the 5 p.m. Mass, on a regular basis, to have a celebration of the anointing of the sick, for any or all who wish it. We'll do a little catechesis beforehand, but it would be on the third Saturday, so that this month, it's on October the 20th, after this Mass. Those who wish will stay, and we'll have a very brief celebration of the sacrament of the anointing of the sick. Those who have been through this, it's a very powerful moment as people come together and pray for those who are in need of prayer, for their illnesses, and again, we'll go through a little bit of catechesis in preparation for it. Addition's done. Subtraction. Again, in today's bulletin, there is a letter from Antoinette Goro. Now, at no place in this long letter does she tell you why she's writing it. But she's going deeper also. Deeper into those moments of her life. Deeper into her family. Deeper into new experiences in her life. And so she has made the decision to retire from our staff. She's not retiring from life. She's not retiring from the parish. She's not retiring from Spreckles or any of those things. She's retiring as a full-time member of our staff. And we'll have a chance at the end of this month, the last weekend of this month, we'll take time after each of the Masses to go over to the hall and have a little celebration. So you might want to think ahead if you want to jot a note or whatever it might be to bring that along with you. But after all the Masses on the last weekend of this month, we'll have a celebration to kind of send her off as she goes deeper. Duc in altum, leads us further into the deep. So, that's the end of the math part. Part 2. Our gospel today. You know that I'm the vocation director for the diocese, and I spend a lot of time in helping people discern their vocation. And most of the time when we use the word vocation, we think about people who go into convents or monasteries or become priests. Very rarely do we spend time talking about marriage as a vocation. Now I realize most of you are not at that stage in life where you're thinking about possibly getting married. If you are, you might want to let the person next to you know that. But that marriage is a calling from God. Unfortunately, I think too many people look at marriage as, well, that's kind of that thing you do, you know. At some point, if we're going to have kids or grandkids, we got to do this marriage thing. No. Marriage is a vocation. It is a calling from God to experience Him in the network of relationships that we call family. Between spouses and children, that experience of the powerful presence of God calling you, calling us into a deeper relationship with Him. Marriage, no more than priesthood, religious life, or any of those things. Marriage is something to be celebrated, but also something to be taken very seriously. And all too often we're very cavalier about the way we get into it. I've often heard a number of homilies that reflect back on Fiddler on the Roof, when Tevye, is there talking with Golden. And this new thing, marriage for love, who heard of it? And in fact, socially, in the world, marriage for love is a relatively new phenomenon, maybe 150 years old. After that, you had a matchmaker. Your grandmother or your mother made the match for you. The first time I met you was on our wedding day. I was nervous, I was shy, I was scared, so was I. And you got married, if you even got married. Serfs didn't get married, they had a blessed whatever. But it was a way of maintaining family lines, property ownership. It was a way of doing all those things. Marriage for love, what a concept. Why would anybody do that? And yet it's what we in our world base marriages on today. And we as a people are still figuring out how you do that. How that works. And I think we've all met people who have gotten married and you've looked and you said, oh my God, that person should never get married. I have a good friend who said to me one day, he said, Roy, I realized at one point in my life I make a better Uncle Tom than I do a dad. That's a good realization. To know ourselves well enough that when we enter into this relationship, we enter into it with full knowledge, with a genuine desire for holiness, a genuine desire to give and receive happiness. And so marriage is not something to be taken lightly, because it is a vocation from God. It's not just something that I guess that's what you do when you grow up, To spend that time reflecting. Obviously, those of you who have been married for a long time, you've had time to reflect on that. Have you ever talked about why you are married now with your children and grandchildren? Because I'm sure it's a lot like priesthood. The reason you entered is not the reason you stay. What you were thinking about on your wedding day, what I was thinking about on my ordination day, is not what I think about 35 years later. I'm sure the same is true for you. And yet there is an experience of the powerful presence of our God that draws us deeper into this experience. That deeper is holiness. That deeper is vocation. That deeper is what inspires others to follow us.